Hey, what's up, guys? It's Robert Rule of 2 Review, and today the PlayStation 4 sells big again. So definitely, I have to say that I'm sorry for taking so long to get another video out. It's been just a really hectic couple of days. I also play and perform and write music professionally in a band, so I've been actually doing a bunch of that the last week or so. Lots of new music and things going on in my life other than the video stuff, so I've kind of just been busy focusing on that stuff. All good things. However, that's kind of done. I'm back to doing some videos, got some fun stuff to talk about, so that's really fantastic and really excited. Good news to talk about today. Also, make sure to stay tuned after the news story and the video's done, because there is another contest coming and I want you to hear about it and be able to enjoy it. So not a whole lot to talk about, but what I have to talk about is pretty cool, as you could gather from my intro. Basically, there's more awesome PlayStation 4 numbers. Really surprising, but at the same time, really, really awesome. So as of April 6th, which is now about 2.5 weeks or so ago from this recording, Sony announced officially that they have sold over 7 million units of the PlayStation 4. And what's really cool is that is officially units sold to customers, something that became really popular last generation. And I just don't know why. I think it's the stupid. Everybody pretty much thinks it's the stupidest thing in the world, but this is how people were doing things. Is they were saying that they were giving us sales numbers of the amount of units sold to retailers, which basically means how many units were shipped out of their warehouses and put on store shelves across the world or in different territories, which, I mean, I guess that's a semi-important number, but at the end of the day, it's also really not, at least as far as what we are concerned about, what it is we want to hear. We don't care how many units of any given system are sitting on store shelves. We want to know how many have been sold, how many people are actually buying them, sitting in people's homes, available for, developers to make games available for, and hopefully for those people to buy, which of course is also what everyone else in the industry cares about. But what it became was a very, kind of fishy way to fluff the numbers or pad the numbers, so to speak. Whereas maybe you've only sold, 2 million Xbox 360s, but there are 6 million that are sitting on store shelves somewhere. So 6 million sounds better than 2 million or what have you. That was kind of what was happening. What's very interesting in this exact news story is at the same time that the PlayStation 4 numbers came out showing 7 million, was the same time that the Microsoft revealed Xbox One numbers of 5 million Xbox One sold to retailers, not sold to customers. So it's really interesting that in the same week, that's when these numbers came out. A lot of this has to do with also how the NPD tracks numbers. And, the NPD sort of made things very difficult last gen, where around 2 or 3 years ago, give or take, I mean, I'm not exact on that, but sometime in the last couple of years, all of a sudden the NPD was no longer allowed to release, or decided not to release, 100% official numbers of game and software, or unit hardware and software sales. And I don't really know why. And as far as what I can tell from people in the industry, a lot of people also don't really know why. That's just sort of what happens. All of a sudden, video game sales became this big sort of secret, and no one really wanted to let anyone know officially what was going on. I don't know why. That would be like if all of a sudden the box office started not really letting us know how much money movies were making. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, to the consumer, none of that stuff has to be important, but it's just become part of the culture, and a lot of us do care about that stuff. I hugely care about that in the box office film world. That's for some reason really important to me. I enjoy it. And in the game world, of course, we care too. A lot of people, for better or worse, have attachments to certain consoles, certain companies, and certain game titles and franchises, and I'm guilty of it too. So we really do care. We want to hear about, the things, the properties and companies that we care about doing well. That's what we want. So for whatever reason, they decided to start making it this big unofficial secret, and we don't know why, and that's just the world we live in now. But this information did just come out, and it's very, very interesting. For Sony, it's a great thing. I've said this a couple of times. I'm a huge Sony fan and a huge fan of the PlayStation. So, take this as you will, but, I'm a huge fan of that stuff. However, I do feel like there's not a whole lot of exciting things going on in the PlayStation 4 right now. So I think it's, both really interesting that Sony was able to sell so many units, but also really fascinating and really awesome, because I think that they've been riding this train of hype this whole time since the system launched 6 months ago in November, and to sell 7 million units, which is a record-breaking pace as far as all of my knowledge is concerned. That's the fastest any hardware has ever sold. That includes the DS, the 3DS, and the Wii, the original Wii, because those are some of the best-selling systems of all time. And the PlayStation 4 has sold better than all of those within this first 6-month period. So, really considering the fact that there isn't a lot going on for the PlayStation 4 now, congrats to Sony. You guys have done a fantastic job. I love you. Even though you have not quite sold me your system yet, I think it's really awesome that you've been able to pull off what you have been able to pull off. And since I love Sony and I recognize that the PlayStation 4 is a really quality piece of hardware as far as consoles are concerned, I think that you guys deserve it. Like that's excellent, and that's definitely an achievement to have ridden this train of hype to this much success so far. When it comes to the Xbox One, I really like the Xbox One from what I've seen and understand of it, and I'm excited to own one of those as well. It's definitely my least favorite, my least exciting of the three consoles. I have loved my Wii U since day one, and the PlayStation 4, I know when I get one, is going to be awesome down the road. Sony has some of my most beloved and favorite franchises and properties out there, so I really can't wait for a new God of War and a new Little Big Planet, and whenever we get information about, the next Uncharted and all this good stuff. So the PlayStation 4 is going to become one of my favorite systems, I'm sure, of recent memory, once I finally decide to plunk down and buy one. Xbox One, I love Gears of War and I love Halo, and I appreciate how Microsoft does their online stuff. So I know that I'm going to enjoy the Xbox One when I finally buy one of those as well. So, I definitely believe in that system as well. But I think that it's really unfortunate that in the same week that Sony was able to announce, check out our awesome sold to customers sales. Like, that's so badass. And Microsoft, unfortunately, I think that they just were afraid to reveal maybe how many Xbox Ones have actually been sold. So they padded the numbers and said, 5 million sold, to retailers, which is really unfortunate. It was almost worse press for them to do so. They really should have just said, this is how many we've actually sold. I would gather, I think around 4 million units sold for the Xbox, probably to consumers. Again, not the same as sold to retailers, but that's what that is. And that's fine. We have to understand, Microsoft, which you should understand, is the PlayStation 4 is doing astronomically well, better than expected well. And so it's not necessarily your fault. And even if, 3.5 or 4 million units have been sold of the Xbox One in the first couple months, that's pretty good. You should be able to feel proud of that. Even though your competition did, better, that's okay. Like, they didn't even probably expect it to do as well as they did. That's just what it is. And they have no more better games on their system than you have on yours. It's just the way it is. And, look at the Wii U, which I think has the best games out right now. And that, I think, is 6.1 million. And that took a year to get that far. But, it's just what it is. It's not selling as great as we want or Nintendo wants. And that has even better games than the other two. And that's just the way it is. You can sometimes never predict how things are going to sell. And I think the Xbox One is going to be a great system. Like I said, I love the Wii U, but the PlayStation 4 is trouncing everything right now. Infamous apparently it's about as good as we expected. It's reviewed kind of what I thought it would be. It's a game that, even though I liked the first one a lot and I want to like the Infamous series, wasn't grabbing me at first, but for some reason the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden is shooting to the top of my radar of games I want to play. And I don't really know why, other than that I'm, slowly wanting a PlayStation 4 more and more, and that game has started to become more and more enticing. And that game, as I said in one of my more previous videos, which I'll link below specifically about Infamous Second Son, actually sold way more PlayStation 4 units than I think anyone saw coming, at least myself for sure. The sales in the UK of the PlayStation 4 shot up over 120% just because of Infamous Second Son releasing. That's pretty darn cool. One other really neat piece of news about this is that not only has the PlayStation 4 been selling so well, but surprisingly and also excellently, the software sales have been through the roof. And I say surprisingly because, like I said, there just isn't a lot to play on the PlayStation 4 right now, which does speak volumes about how excellently Sony has marketed the PlayStation 4 to sell it that well. But like I said, without a lot of software to support all these sales, I'm really surprised to hear how many games they have sold. But they say that 20.5 million games have been sold for the PlayStation 4. Now, that does include both retail and digital releases. I think it's really interesting and surprising that they included digital sales in this because that's not something that we're typically used to, but it probably will become more and more common as this generation evolves and moves forward. But regardless, whether you're looking at retail or digital or both, 20.5 million copies of games sold in just the first 6 months of a system is really, really fantastic. I mean, that is insane. So again, congratulations to Sony. There's been a lot of third-party, well, a lot. There's been, I think, obviously more third-party than first-party stuff available on the system so far. So you got to think a huge portion of that 20.5 million copies of games sold is third-party stuff. So they're probably also really enjoying kick-ass success on the PlayStation 4. So as of right now, this generation is being owned by Sony. And I'm not going to say deservedly so yet because this system, like I said, I think has yet to prove its worth. But I love Sony, so in that respect, I think Sony does deserve it because I like Sony. And I know that the PlayStation 4 is overall a quality piece of hardware. Yes, we've heard about issues and stuff with the system, but that stuff is just kind of what happens. It's common, you know? I mean, the Wii U hasn't really had any problems. PS4 and Xbox One have, and in general, that stuff is common. We saw it with all the systems last generation and even the one before. It is what it is. But for the most part, it's supposed to be a pretty excellent piece of hardware and more stable than the Xbox One, I believe, and overall doing really good things. So I'm really glad to hear that Sony's doing well, the PlayStation 4 is doing well, software is doing well on the platform. I think that that's really great. Microsoft, I know you're going to catch up, so just don't freak out. Nintendo, I think, is going to have a banner year. I think things are going to pick up with Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Bayonetta and all these things coming out this year. It's going to be a great year for that system as well, but definitely going to continue to be owned by Sony. I mean, I feel like at this point, if they can sell the system so well without a lot going on with it, just wait until Uncharted comes out and Little Big Planet comes out and more of these excellent third-party games that are going to sell better on the PlayStation come out, like Destiny, like Watch Dogs. I mean, Sony is going to probably own this generation for most, if not all of it. I mean, we do never know, you know, in another year or two, come 2016, 17, who knows what could be happening. And that's really exciting to think about. Anything could go at that time. But I mean, for now, I just don't see any reason to see this changing. I think Sony's going to continue to dominate, and I think that once games start coming out that are awesome for it, that it's going to be very, very well deserved. So at the end of the day, that's kind of the details, and I definitely have to say, congratulations, Sony. You guys rock. I'm really glad to see your success. You struggled for so long with the PlayStation 3, and that became my favorite system last generation. So I'm really glad to see you guys put forth so much effort and do so well with the PlayStation 4. So hopefully you guys out there are all enjoying your PlayStation 4s if you have it. Let me know, of course, below what you think about any of the three systems. What do you think about Sony and the PlayStation 4, and how much are you enjoying it? And yeah, so that's all that stuff. Alrighty, so like I said, it's contest time. The really awesome news I have for myself is the Rule of Two Review has finally crossed 200 subscribers. That is amazing. I can't be prouder of you guys. I feel really proud of myself and the channel and Mr. Chad, who's involved doing his Let's Plays. It's pretty awesome. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's just been going and going the last month or so. Everything has been ramping up. It feels really great. As of now, 209 subscribers. And, 4 months ago, I never would have thought that would have been possible so quick. Rule of Two Review has only been going as a YouTube channel for 6 months, almost 6 months. Rule of Two Review as an entity has existed since 2010 when we did podcasts on iTunes and a website. But like I said, a couple months ago, I moved it to YouTube for a brand new format. And in 6 months, we've gotten 200 subscribers. And I am very proud to be able to say that. So thank you guys so much. As a reward, like I've been saying, I'm going to conduct another Facebook contest. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, I'm going to make a Facebook contest post, and the contest is going to be, this is completely random, but I've really been thinking a lot about soundtracks lately, and just how music and whether it's a lot of music or not a lot of music can affect the gameplay experience. And of course, we all have very memorable gameplay themes in our heads for many years, especially if you go back to the 80s when there were famous Mega Man and Zelda and Metroid and great themes and tunes that have carried out through generations. So I know I have my own personal favorites. Metroid Prime, of course, sticks out as probably my favorite. Recently, The Wonderful 101 has become the soundtrack that I think think is just one of the best of all time. So fantastic. Lots of Final Fantasy themes throughout the years that are great. Halo is a great one. So what I want to ask you guys is, what is your favorite OST? What is your favorite game soundtrack? Your favorite game song? Not licensed stuff. You know, we know there's been great licensed music and things like Tony Hawk and Madden and whatnot over the years. And that's great. You know, we all love The Offspring and Crazy Taxi, but I'm talking about actual scores, legitimate game scores and official game soundtracks. What is your favorite and why is it your favorite? That's what I want you to leave in the contest post once I post that on Facebook in just a couple of hours. And I'm going to pick my favorite kind of at random, but my favorite answer, not based on my favorite music, but just my favorite answer, and, you know, make it as random and fair as possible. And the person that I select, I'm going to contact in a private message via Facebook, and provided you're comfortable giving me your address, I'm going to send you, again, a $30 gift card to GameStop. So answer the question, talk about your favorite game soundtrack, and you could very potentially get some free money and some free games. So I think that's pretty cool stuff, and the best way I can think of to say thank you for supporting and enjoying Rule of Two Review and what it is that myself and Mr. Chad do on the channel. So thanks again, guys. Answer the contest, and maybe you'll win some free stuff. Alrighty, well, that is it for the Sony and PlayStation 4 ass-kicking sales news for today. Of course, if you like what I'm doing and you like Rule of Two Review, you can feel free to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, share your comments and your thoughts below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.